And next up we have the selectors. These selectors will select a certain part of the landscape and turn that selection into a mask. For example, this is a landscape that has been eroded using the particle erosion. And I can use the select dirt mask to select certain part of the landscape based on the amount of dirt the landscape has. So you see the particle erosion node turned the rock into dirt, and then we can select certain parts of the landscape based on the amount of dirt that part have. Let's have a look at this node's parameter. We have the dirt threshold, which indicate the amount of dirt that is required in order to be selected. And this spread will be the transition between the selected and non-selected. And again, we can invert the mask using the min and max value. And here you can input another dirt map using this parameter. By default, it's gonna use the dirt map created by this particle erosion node. But if you want to use your own custom dirt map, you can just put it in right here. Next, we have the flow selection node. This node will select the flow channel of the landscape. Let me just show you the flow channel. So it's this channel right here. So this map is a map that ranges from 0 to 1. The maximum value of this map is 1 and the minimum value is 0. So the select flow node has these two parameters that range from 0 to 1. So this is the threshold of selection, and this is the transition between selected and non-selected. So you can control the selection using these two parameters. And then we have the snow and water selection. We will get to these later, because right now we have yet to use the hydro simulation. So the landscape does not have any water or snow. So these selectors will come in handy later on. Next, we have the height range, height threshold selection. The select height range will select a certain level of height and turn it into a mask. So let's have a look at the height range selection. And here we have to specify the range we want to have. Let's say we will select from 100 meter to 400 meter. Maybe 250 meters. Now, I think we need to increase the from height a little bit more. There we go. So now we are selecting this range of height, and we can adjust the smoothness to adjust the transition between black and white. Then we have the select height threshold node, parts of the landscape that is above a certain height threshold. Currently it is set to 300, and I think this landscape is, well, it's way below 300 meters, so we need to lower the threshold. So you see, we now select everything that is above a certain height threshold. And we can again increase or decrease the spread to control the transition between selected and non-selected. And again, we have this custom height map to override the height map. And then we have the slope threshold and slope range selection. So let's have a look at the slope threshold. The slope threshold will select the slope that is above a certain threshold. Currently it's set to 30 degrees. And we can change this to control where we want to select the slope. So currently this slope is, I think, about 45 degrees, so it is selected as white. And down here we have a flat region, which is pretty much below 36 degrees, so it's not selected. And again, we have the spread value to control the transition between black and white. And then we have this select slope range node. This node will select a slope within a certain range specified by these two angles. Currently, this is set to 30 degrees and 60 degrees. So any slope that is steeper than 30 degrees and less than 60 degrees will be selected. So let me just lower the two angle. So you see up here it's too steep, so it's not selected. And down here it's not steep enough, so it's also not selected. And here it's in the just right range, so it's selected. And again, we can change the smoothness to control the transition between black and white. And finally, we have the select angle node. So let me just get rid of this landscape and change it to a simple radial displacement landscape like this. So this node will select the parts of the landscape that face a certain angle, and we can change the angle selection using this parameter. So let's set this to 90 degrees. So any part of the landscape that faces 90 degrees forward like this will be selected. And this is the cone angle that will spread from the selected threshold, right? And we have the sharpness to control the transition between black and white. And we can change this to linear mask to have a threshold kind of selection. So any angle above a certain threshold will be selected and below a certain threshold will not be selected. And again, we can change the cone angle to control the transition between black and white. And for this mode, we don't use the sharpness because we have a smooth transition regardless. And so that is all about the masking. You can combine any number of these mask builders to build your own mask based on your specific need.